Ahoy and welcome to Lorehammer. I'm War Boss Market. No, that's just fucked for the ears and the listeners. Hey, welcome to Lorehammer, 40K podcast. Believe it or not, we're talking orc voice, and that already hurt my voice, so I'll pass it off to Gerald. Hey.
Hello. How is everyone doing this evening?
Man, doing good. I'm excited to chat some orc boys with you guys. We also got Nick here joining us.
Hello, all you grim dark lovers out there. It's a pleasure as always.
Yes. Another beautiful episode of Lorehammer where we're just going to be yelling in some orcish accents at each other for some of it. But today's episode is going to be about the new kind of sub-faction, let's call it subculture of orcs that kind of came out recently called the Beast Snaggas. So I'm excited to kind of learn about them together with you guys.
Oh yeah, just as excited as you are.
Yeah, let me try to sell you a t-shirt here. Go to Redbubble. You can buy merchandise from t-shirts to onesies to duvets. Go check it out. We sell a lot of different stuff, and some of it's kind of cool too. So I like wearing exclusively Lorehammer underwear. It's the only way I roll.
Yeah, I'm sure, especially in the jungle down there, you gotta make sure you wear breathable underwear and
100% cotton.
Properly branded.
And I guess while you're supporting the show with your merch, you can also support us by joining Patreon. Who'da thunk? For ad-free versions of the show, you get it's just for $2.50, not even the price of a small McDonald's fry. And for $5, you can get access to video, also ad-free. So, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Are you a bloody Yumi? Do you need a good crumpin'?
Do you need a good crumpin'? Yeah, $2.50. That's not bad. Go support the show. I know if like every one of our Discord members threw that money our way, man, it would change some lives. So definitely consider donating. And with that, you get some live streams, which are pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, join the Patreon to access the live chat room on the show. We read your comments as we're going through with our typical show. And then at the end, we also do a call-in guest. I will always say it, my favorite part of the show. We get a bunch of people in. We ask them all sorts of questions. It's your chance to appear on the episode. And the Patreon has been really helping. For every dollar that gets added out of like $10, we've been sending Mark to Trevor Busek to do some voice high gothic lessons. And actually, we got the opportunity to record one of those episodes. So check that out over on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah, if that's what your money's going to, I think it's really going and doing the Lord's work for sure, teaching the needy how to read. Yeah, cool. Okay, let's jump into the episode. Yeah, like I said, today we're talking about Beast Snagga Boyz, kind of this new orc sub-faction where they like to just go around and catch whatever big old squiggy thing they can find and ride it till they die. I was kind of just thinking about different models they could be riding. I'm picturing Snagga Boyz riding carnifexes. I'm picturing them riding all types of fucking Eldar creatures, whether they're animals or not. They're just riding Wraith Knights into battle. They'll tame whatever.
Oh yeah, so epic. I mean, I imagine some sort of like weird space whale. You're just got a whole bunch of grots on the back of your space whale.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very fun. I feel like this is a very kind of very orky. You know, it's orcs riding kind of semi-orcs. You know how much I like Kroot and how all Kroot are technically Kroot. This is very much the same kind of vibe where orcs riding squigs, riding grots. It's a good time.
Well, see, I gotta ask this question. Then. Why is it such a meme when the Space Wolves do it, but orcs riding, squigs riding grots is okay, Kroot riding is okay, and what was the thing we talked about the other week? You know where I'm going at with this, though.
Gang member riding gang member, but in a very different type of way.
Whoa. Hold on.
I'll tell you why it's okay. Because it's a crumping good time.
You know what I really want to see is I want to see a war boss riding a feral Trevor Busek.
Yeah. Yes. Shirtless, wielding his katana and spray painted green. I like it.
Because green's the best color.
Yeah, so Before we get into talking about them, I think we need to set up just a little context of orc culture. And there's kind of three pieces that are main pieces of orc culture. We got their society, that's kind of how it all kind of operates. We got the culture, that's how they relate with one another. And then they got the clans, that's how they kind of self-identify. And I thought, who better than to bring some orcs in to actually do a little bit of the reading on this episode to just tell us about the society and culture and clans before we get to the actual Beast Snaggas. So, yeah, prepare your ears, say your prayers, and hopefully you don't get infested with spores through the internet speakers and now you get infested with orcs. I hear that as a crop.
I want to see in the live chat too, as we each do one of our orc voices. You guys vote. Let us know what you think of all the voices.
Yeah. I think I will be last place, but also, you never know. I have a cheating audience, so I might be able to take it over. All right, so I'm gonna go up first, and well, not me. Sorry, my good dear friend War Boss Markamus is gonna read about some orc society and just tell you a little bit about who the orcs are. Orcs is big and green, brutal killing machines, made for war and loving every bit of it. They don't need no learning. They're born with the know what for crumpin'. Like mech boys who know what ought to fix up in the gubbins and make data from scrap. They ain't got no order neither. Tribes and warbands smash together or tear apart under the biggest, meanest war boss. Always fighting, 'cause fighting is what they do best. The grots scurry underfoot doing the zogging grot work, while the boys stomp around and even the tiniest snortlings get kicked about for days' length. Orcs don't need no fancy culture. Violence and chaos is what keeps him going, making them the deadliest greenskins in the galaxy. Wrong!
Whoa!
Yeah. That's messed up, yo. So yeah, Orc Society is pretty nice. They really just like crumping and fighting, and beyond that, who cares who you're crumping? Who cares who you fighting? One day you might just crump or fight yourself a war boss, and you'll be the new war boss. But you're still gonna be crumping and fighting, and that's what it's all about, is what I gather.
It's like we talked about before in a previous episode. If we're talking about win conditions for 40k, the Orcs have been winning since day one.
Yeah.
All they do is love a good fight.
Yeah, you can't really lose. Even when you lose, it's like you see all your best orc boys blow up. You're like, that was a good explosion. Like, still a good time.
Oh, the big boom. Was it painted yellow?
So let's get a little deeper into orc workings and the culture of them. Let's get a little more sophisticated.
Time for War Boss Gracker to talk. Orc culture is all about crumping and smashing with every orc living for the next big scrap. There's happiest when there's a fight brewing, throwing themselves into the fray without even thinking twice. Even if it's just bashing whatever orcs, there's no one else to fight. The more the scrap, the bigger and meaner they get, growing into proper beasts like the legends. The beast were almost as big as an imperial knight. Machines and waiting round board the zog out of them. If there ain't action, they start scrap games and tear each other apart, just for kicks. They don't care about Umi's stuff like love or feelings. All they know is the good old crumping and the bliss of battle, where the only fighting that matters the carnage they leave behind. Wah!
So not only do orcs like fighting and smashing things, they also like looting things, I've learned. Wow, thank you, War Boss Graka. So informative.
You're welcome, Umi.
I thought I was having a stroke for a second when I was reading the chat and people are just yelling in orc speak in there. But no, it's all good. It's all good.
Quick quote from Nemo here. If you think that's hard on the voice, let's get you some drill sergeant lessons.
Yeah. Okay, so wow, we've really expanded upon how orcs operate. Some of these core ideologies that really make an orc tick. But I think we can go even deeper and learn a little bit more. A little more sophistication can be added to this onion of the orc.
All right. Well, we got to talk about some clans, and not everyone can be a war boss. Some of us have to be the little clever gits. So, orcs ain't just fighty. They made for crumping and smashing with everything in their zog and bones. They love a good scrap. They don't matter if it's humies, spiky boys, or even with each other. There's no one else. The bigger and meaner they get from fighting, the more boys look up to them. Today's bossing the mob or even running the whole war. Machines? Blah. No crunch, no fun. Boredom's the enemy. If there's no fight, they make one or play brutal games like squig-eating or racing their scrap wagons. Orcs don't do love. All they care about is the joy of the crumping and the thrills of chaos. Whoa!
Whoa!
Yeah, very nice. So wow, what complexity. What do you think we learned this time about clans?
If you were able to decipher anything that I was able to say.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, we're joking because it really isn't that complicated. They like to fight. Some of them like to fight in close combat, while other ones like to shoot big guns. Other ones like to destroy things. Other ones like to loot things and then destroy them. It, some are cunning, some are brutal, some are brutally cunning. It's all the same though. At the end of the day, you give an orc a battle axe and a I don't know, what do they call a blaster, and they're gonna be happy.
Blaster.
You want the chopper and a shooter.
They also have like the perfect way to just self-identify themselves. They're like, yeah, I like looting, so I'm gonna go join the freebooters. Or I'm very lucky, so I think I'm probably a death skull. And they just kind of just go where they need to go. They self-sort pretty naturally. It's like those balls when you drop them down the peg hole and they all just land exactly where they need to. That's our culture. Works every time.
Yeah, the amazing thing about orcs is the more they believe in something, the more it comes true. They've got this weird sort of connection to Gork Mork and the warp. So, like on my blaster, that's why I paint all my bullets red, because everyone knows that red bullets go faster.
And then you can't dodge them.
And that's why the death skulls is color, because blue's the luckiest color.
Yeah. So we got now clans. We understand perfectly what clans are. So now we're going to talk about a very specific clan before we get into a subculture in that clan. There's many layers to this onion, as we've said. But specifically, we're going to talk about the snake bites. So here we go. I'll get my war boss friend back on, or maybe I'll get a Grot on here. I probably have one of those in the back room somewhere. The snake bites is the orcs would stick in the old ways, shunning flashy tech and shiny gubbins for the savage strength of tradition. They paint themselves with the jagged war marks of their own blood, or their foes clad in the crude armor that pride over practicality. They don't need no force fields and fancy shooters, just choppy cleavers and raw toughness. Riding snarling boars, they thunder into battle like a wild beast. Daces bashing skulls and reveling in the thrill of the fight. Don't they fight or loot or for glory? It's all about the hunt, the bloodshed, and the joy of chaos. Loyal to the feral ways, they refuse the comforts of progress, choosing to stay free and untamed. Every snakebite carries the mark or the venomous serpent, a symbol of survival and strength. Only the toughest who endure the serpent's deadly bite earn their place among the snakebites. The last true bastion, O savage or culture. So snake bites are pretty cool. The one reason why we want to mention them specifically is, yeah, they like to hold true to tradition, where lots of other orcs embrace technology and will replace whole parts of their body with bionics, or they'd get up to all types of crazy things. These guys really will hold to the old ways, where it's just they want to grow their orc fungi, eat their old orc fungi, then go to war riding a squiggoth, which might be their cousin.
Basically.
Snake bites are pretty cool too. Yeah, I kind of like that. just holding to that old way. We've talked about times how orcs revel in the good fight where they will go to a planet and they'll almost meet that planet's technology level. And I always just picture them going to a planet and like saying, "These Yumis only have spears," and they drop all their blasters and pick up like a stick and a rock and they're like, "Let's get to work, grumpin." Like, could have taken out that planet so easy, but they want to do it this way instead.
Because it just won't be a fair grumpin'.
Yeah. Or if you find a particularly good enemy like Gaskell Thraka and Yarick, and he saves his life because, a good enemy hard to find.
Yeah. They don't just spring out of holes in the ground like us orcs. Yeah. Fuck. Orc voices, man. Who did that? Who came up with this? That guy, I know it comes from like soccer hooliganisms, but like, yikes.
Good times, good times.
So I think now we can get to the actual Beast Snaggas of it all. Now that we really, truly understand all the intricacies of orc culture.
Yes. And I guess I'll don my my reading eyes here. The Beast Snaggas are a savage breed of orc, nomadic brutes who spit on the trappings of modern warfare, trading tanks and gunmetal for the raw, snarling power of the Squigs. They are hunters through and through, driven by an unrelenting lust to take down the biggest, meanest, most monstrous prey the galaxy can offer. Titans, tanks, bio-beasts, it doesn't matter. If it's massive and deadly, the Beast Snaggas are coming for it, roaring the challenge and itching for the kill. I do not know if I can keep this up the entire time. So
no, and nor would I recommend it, but
I'm actually impressed that you were able to get through that whole paragraph in that voice. Like,
yeah, it's interesting how you took normal English and then orcified it. Yeah, it made it all messy. Yeah, the Beast Snaggas are pretty cool. They just want to ride and tame things essentially, and they want to go on hunts for the biggest and baddest things that they can find. And if they can ride and tame that thing, even better. They mention fighting bio beasts and bio titans. I can just imagine them just looking at a Hierophant, a Tyranid Hierophant, and just being like, "Oi, that git is mine."
Yeah, I mean, exactly. The episode that you did on the Sovereign Dominant with the giant winged creatures, I could imagine just a whole bunch of orcs just climbing on the back of one of those things flying around.
Yeah, those Drakons that had a 250-meter wingspan. Now those are made for crumping.
You made me flash back to think like an orcified Steve Irwin. What? These big creatures are the biggest, most dangerous, death-defying thing that ever lived. I'm gonna ride it.
That makes me think of the South Park one where, the Randy's always trying to stick his finger up somebody's ass and ride him or something, wrestle him to the ground. It's been a minute since I've seen that episode, so I forget exactly what happened. I might be adding some of my own guilty pleasure to it, but yeah.
Okay, back to my normal voice for a hot minute. Most Beast Snaggas hail from the snakes. Most Beast Snaggas hail from the Snakebites clan, those staunch traditionalists who cling to the old ways, like an iron grip on a Squig's leash. They scorn the so-called finer orc technologies, viewing them as soft and cowardly crutches. But the wild ways aren't confined to snakebites alone. Beast Snaggas pop up across orc society, their feral nature and addiction to the hunt, making them at home wherever carnage reigns. For these orcs, the hunt isn't just a pastime, it's life. They're always moving, always seeking their next quarry, living for the moment when they can sink their blades and stickas into something bigger and badder than themselves. Their tribes are never still, thundering across the landscape and roaring, clattering caravans that churn the ground into chaos and fill the air with dust and noise. Each tribe revolves around a towering monstrosity of scrap and fury, a kill rig or a hunter rig, brutal engines of death bristling with weaponry and crewed by howling mobs of Beast Snaggas.
Wow!
Their temples and their tools of war, grinding through battlefields and alien jungles alike as they pursue their prey. The hunt itself is a cacophony of unsubtle destruction. These aren't silent stalkers creeping through the shadows. They're screaming lunatics crashing through anything in their path, tearing up the ground as they barrel towards their quarry. Whoa!
Wah! This episode, I'm getting a lot of noise complaints.
Whoa.
Okay, I got the bosses and war boys decide who or what is worthy of the chase. Their twisted vision steering the tribe toward whatever monstrosity will bring the most glory, be it a tyrannid beast bristling with claws, a lumbering war engine, or a city-flattering titan. The Beast Snaggas charge headlong into the fray, harpoons ready, and Squigs snarling at their sides. Okay.
Yeah, what I'm liking about these guys already, they feel like, we're talking about the orcs being traditional orcs. These guys feel like just the most orky of all orcs. They just want to go yell at things. Every vehicle doesn't look like it could even function. They're throwing weapons at you, like throwing harpoons at you, trying to stick you. Yeah, I'm really liking their vibe so far. Just really over the top orky.
Oh, super orky. I gotta give it to you, man. Once you start reading in that orc voice, it's hard to stop.
I mean, it's like you're reading through it and it's normal text, but when you go into actual orc terms, you can't help but say it in the orkiest voice possible. So just like it's imagine just saying like Beast Snagga Boy. That just doesn't sound right. You guys say Beast Snagga Boy.
Yeah. Okay, so Trevor Buzak, I wonder how good his Orcish is, and if he can teach me some Orcish after I learn High Gothic.
Mark, you got some lessons ahead of you.
Got a lot of different languages to learn.
For every $10 towards a Patreon, hashtag shameless plug. Anyway. And Squigs, they are everything to the... I'm going to do it. And Squigs, they're everything to the Beast Snaggas, mounts, weapons, tools, even comrades to these orcs. Squigs are more than just beasts of burden. They're extensions of the very being. They oil their machines with squig grease, deliver messages using squig-wranglers, and train targeting squids to help them land the savage strikes. Their bond with these creatures is visceral and unbreakable. No snagger is considered a proper orc until he's tasted the pain of a squig's bite. Scars from squig jaws are badges of honor, proof of an orc's toughness and readiness to the hunt. The snaggers themselves are towering slabs of muscle, even by orc standards. They may lack the iron hide of a knob, but they make up for it in raw, feral strength. Their brutal strikes landing with bone-shattering force. They wield crude, brutal harpoons called stickers, perfect for pinning down the prey and pulling it close in for the kill. When a beast snagger lands his shot, the fight is as good as over. His prey is doomed to die under a storm of squig-mounted fury and orcish brutality. Wah!
Wah! Yeah, I love that. Like, yeah, they're just throwing harpoons and pinning people to the ground, and then they just don't even care if they finish them off. They just get trampled in a horde of orc bodies and squigs and all that kind of cool stuff.
I mean, I love it. If you ever look at the kill team for the orcs that came out not too long ago, you see the squig and it just has all the dynamite in its mouth and it's running like crazily.
That was the most annoying part of the original Space Marine game, was the dynamite squigs.
I like the squig where it's a face-eating squig and you have to try to eat its face before it eats your face, and it's just like a casual bar game that orcs like to play with one another.
Even the Gretchen among the Beast Snaggas are tougher than their groveling kin, known as the Saddlegits. These little runts have a sliver more courage than the average grots, riding alongside their larger masters on the back of the squigs into the maelstrom of the hunt. They serve as eager, if expendable, helpers in the chaos, their loyalty driven more by fear than anything else. The tribes themselves are feral, unstoppable forces. They don't settle, don't pause, don't stop for anything short of total destruction. They eat, sleep, and even perform their crude, bloody surgeries on the move, never halting in their relentless quest for bigger and meaner prey. Whenever they roam, they leave trails of devastation behind them, shattered landscapes, ruined cities, and the echoes of their raucous battle cries. The Beast Snaggas don't just hunt because they have to. They hunt because it's who they are. Their very existence is defined by the thrill of the chase, the glory of the kill, and the sheer unrestrained joy of smashing their enemies into pulp. To live is to hunt is to fight, and to fight is the only thing that matters. Whoa.
Wow.
Hell yeah. I just want to throw out to the chat as well. Nemo Forever saying that hair squigs are the best squigs. All orcs are naturally bald, and there's just squigs that grow hair and clamp onto the top of orcs' heads, and that's their new hairdo. Amazing.
One Beast Snagga war boss out there is like the most fabulous hairdresser of all time because he tames the best hair squigs. It exists. It has to exist, man. If there's hair squigs, yeah. There has to be some war boss who's in charge of capturing the 15-foot long hair squig, and then now this might hurt a little bit as it clamps it onto your head and starts sucking your brain. Stylish.
If I'm ever a war boss, I want you to find me a mullet squig.
Are y'all familiar with the game Shoota's? Hold on, Shoota's Blood and Teeth.
Yeah, I've played it.
No, actually.
It is like it's like a short 2D platformer shooter, and you're basically an orc boy. The whole game starts because his war boss decided he wanted his hair squig. That's it.
Oh, that's my hair squig.
And then you're going on like this Forge world, and you're fighting freaking Imperial Knights because you just want your hair squig back. It's like the most orkiest orc thing.
That's so funny. War boss hair squig.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think this army you could just really every army you can make so custom with orcs, but this one I just keep thinking of all the different listener lores that I've read. I'm picturing the Exodite one. I think Gerald, you probably remember that one where they had the flying squirrels on the tree, Yggdrasil. And yeah, I'm picturing the orcs now invading that. I'm picturing them taming my crotalids. You know, I'm picturing all these different types of things that they're riding into battle.
Oh man, if you had an orc riding a crotalid, could it travel through the warp that way?
I could only assume yes.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think of other crazy sort of creatures out there. I mean, again, the universe is, or the Milky Way is so vast. The possibilities are infinite. Yeah.
Look, orcs, we've tried riding the blueberries, but you can't do it. Talking about like Tau. They're too squishy.
I thought you were talking about them riding some ultramarines.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I should have said the fish boys, but
Same difference. They're all blue at the end of the day.
they ain't green.
No, green's the best.
But they's blue, so they must be lucky.
Beast Snagga forces say you got the beast boss. The beast bosses are the apex predators of the orc world, brutal leaders who wear their dominance as a badge of honor. Draped in the trophies of their greatest kills, their armor is a patchwork of bone, metal, and flesh, each piece telling a story of destruction and conquest. From the skulls of enormous beasts to the shattered remains of the enemies, the spoils of war adorn them like a savage crown. They don't just sit in the back giving orders, they lead from the front, charging into battle with a bloodlust that inspires terror and awe in their followers. Their hands are massive clawed weapons, perfect for tearing through armor and flesh alike. To them, the thrill of the hunt is everything, and no kill is too big, too dangerous, or too monstrous to be considered. These hulking warriors are not built for subtlety. Ripping with muscles and scar tissue, their bodies are walking testaments to the carnage they've inflicted and survived. Every gash, burn, and wound tells a story of brutal combat, a reminder of their resilience and hatred for anything that dares stand in their way. With a foul temper to match their savage exterior, beast bosses are feared by their own
He's
orc
changing.
followers. Try not to, but it's difficult. Oh God! When they speak, it's not with hands, but with the roar of their rage and the clash of the claws, or whatever challenges them. They're no mere generals; they're the living storms of violence. They're driving their warriors forward with the promise of blood and carnage. In battle, the beast bosses are not content to sit back and command. They thrive in the chaos, charging headfirst into the fray, often atop their fearsome squigosaurs, massive, snarling beasts that mirror their ferocity. The squigosaurs are more than just mounts. They are partners in destruction, feral creatures as wild and untamed as the beast bosses themselves. With their enormous jaws snapping and claws raking the earth, they serve as a living battering ram, smashing through enemy lines alongside their masters. The beast bosses ride their beasts into battle like a king atop a war machine, hunting the largest, meanest creatures in the battlefield with a relentless hunger for destruction. Whoa!
Whoa!
Whoa.
I'm just picturing this one beast boss who has the nastiest Squigosaurus, and it just eats every orc that comes nearest. But then it looks deep into the beast boss eyes, and there's a twinkle, and they have this fondness for each other, and they play so nicely together. Every now and again, the orc war boss does lose an arm to the Squigosaurus, but that's all a part of the loving game and their mutual relationship, where together they just become an unstoppable green tide of fury and mayhem. But together they're pretty cute.
Once you lose an arm once, you can have you can just replace that mechanical arm over and over and over again.
Oh, that Squigosaurus did him a favor.
No, I've got a big, powerful claw instead of me arm.
All the better for tickling behind Squiggy's ear.
That's not his ear.
Oh no.
To be a beast boss is to live for the kill. They are hunters, the predators, and they don't seek victory for wealth or glory. They fight for the pure, unbridled joy of it, relishing every moment in chaos and destruction. A beast boss's life is a constant search for the next big challenge, the next worthy foe to crush beneath their claws. They are ultimate embodiment of orc brutality, and in their wake there is nothing but carnage and ruin. I'm telling you, you know how hard it is in my brain to read not in Orcish now?
What did we do to our brains?
Oh my god.
Oh god.
The orc spores is taking over, boys.
Just give in to the spores. You might learn to like it.
Give in to the power of the war.
Wah!
Let me just pour myself some more fungale here.
Made a fresh batch from between my toes this morning.
From that Squigosaurus's rear end.
Okay. Up next, we're going to talk about the Squig-wranglers, and let's see where we go. Squig-wranglers are the savage cavalry of the Beast Snaggas, roaring into battle on their four-legged squig-offs, the very embodiment of speed and savagery. These orcs are tough as nails, their eyes burning with unrelenting fury of the hunt. Each Squig-wrangler is a whirlwind of chaos, charging headlong into the fray with determination and borders on madness. With their mounts tearing through the battlefield with blistering speeds, they crash into the enemy with ferocity, striking before their foes can react. The Squig-wranglers themselves, vicious creatures, bred for battle, slam into the enemy, bone-crushing force, their jaws snapping and claws raking through the chaos of war. Armed to the teeth, Squig-wranglers are no mere cavalry. Yeah, you gotta do a different voice just so you don't wreck yourself. They are a living storm of destruction. No, I don't got any other voices. They are a weird arsenal of vicious weapons, each more brutal than the last. Their stickas, harpoon-like weapons, are used to pin down enemy vehicles or immobilize that. Pin down enemy vehicles, I just picture them seeing like a motorbike and throwing the stick through the sporks or whatever, flinging people over.
Pulling an Indiana Jones on it.
Exactly.
See, when I hear pin down a vehicle, I imagine it just sits on it so it can't move anymore.
Another classic technique. Or immobilizing any foe unlucky enough to get too close. The boys are also known for releasing bomb squigs, explosive creatures that dart into enemy lines, causing chaos and devastation. But the true terror of the Squig-wranglers lies in their mounts. These savage beasts are not just vehicles, they are weapons in their own right. slamming into enemies and using their size and strength to scatter the foes in every direction. The Squig Boys have perfect hit and run tactics. Their speed and agility make them ideal for engaging enemy light vehicles or soft targets. They live for the rush of close combat, their weapons and mounts working in unison to shred anything in their path. But they are not just mindless savages. They're highly organized in their madness, with each boy expertly wielding their weapons alongside their grot side companions. These grot riders serve as the eyes and ears of the boys, coordinating their assault and helping guide their mounts into the heart of the enemy. In the chaos of battle, the Squig Boys are a blur of speed, fury, and bloodlust, leaving destruction in their wake. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about the different mounts that they have as well, so you get a little better idea. But man, they're orcs, so they could just be whatever they want them to be. And since they're orcs, hey, maybe this mount replaced one of its arms with a Gatling cannon. Why not?
One thing that I love that Games Workshop did is they came out with the Speed Freaks, where they're all driving in these souped up muscle cars, and then they went as far down the spectrum as you can go, and now they're riding on beasts.
Yeah, perfect. Man, it's just so orky. It's just all they want to do is find the biggest, baddest target and take it down and ride it. I love it.
Yeah, it's hard to mess up orcs. Like I'm not making that as a dare to anybody, but it is hard to actually mess up orcs.
I don't know. I think the more messed up an orc is, the better it is.
It's just so orky to be messed up.
That's where all the truly brilliant ideas come from. Just ask Gazkill.
Exactly.
One bolt around to the brain and you too can be messed up.
I want to pull up that quote, but I'm going to save it for the end of the episode. So if I still have a voice to even say that quote. But while I want to talk about orcs and squigbacks, let's talk about squigback riders. Squigback riders are fishermen highly mobile subsect of the Beast Snagga tribes, known for their relentless and unpredictable tactics. These orcs ride into battle atop squigback mounts, harnessing the brutal strength and speed for these vicious creatures to strike terror into their enemies. Unlike the standard Beast Snagga forces, the Squigback riders specialize in swift, surgical strikes, often breaking off from the main warband to strike deep behind enemy lines. Their raids are chaotic and highly disruptive, as they target vulnerable enemy positions, sowing confusion and disorder wherever they go. I just can't not speak in an orc voice, so here we go. We're gonna have fun tonight, lads.
It's in us all. They're in you and they're in me.
Equipped with a mix of airdrop commandos and death copters, the Squigback Riders operate as a deadly hit-and-run force. These orcs work in tandem with their aerial counterparts, coordinating swift strikes that leave little time for the enemy to react. They are not a traditional assault force, but rather a shadowy presence that moves through the battlefield like a storm, picking off weak targets and retreating before the foe can mount a proper defense. Their raids are calculated, exploiting any weaknesses in the enemy's rear echelons to further destabilize their ranks. Among the Beast Snaggas, Squigback Riders are particularly favoured by the Blood Axe warbands, who appreciate the tactical nature of their raids. The Blood Axes, known for their cunning and use of unorky strategies, find the Raiders' ability to sow confusion and disrupt the enemy's rear lines to be invaluable. This partnership reflects in the Blood Axe's preference for subtlety and strategy, even within the brutal and primal world of the Beast Snaggas. For the Squigback Raiders, however, it's all about the hunt, leaving a trail of chaos in their wake and proving that no enemy, no matter how fortified, is safe from the fury of a Squigback charge.
Yeah, cool. I like the flavor and the tactic that they get changes depending on the mount that they find. Like the hog is way more definitely like run straight at the target, impale him on your tusk. With this guy, you could put him on anything. Maybe like a velociraptor orc that's like super sneaky and cunning and waiting for that perfect time to jump out and rend the back line. There has to be orc raptors.
Absolutely.
Oh man, that would be awesome. I want them to be wearing the the hat that the guy from Jurassic Park's wearing when he's clever girl.
Love that meme. Clever girl.
But yeah, you're not exactly gonna go doing hit and run charges on the back of a Squigosaurus. You know, you're going right into the fray, hitting them hard right in the middle.
Yeah. The chat's saying a couple cool things. Purge says an orc on a space whale, not wearing any pressured suits or helmets, thinking space is like riding a normal whale in the ocean while doing a drive-by on some Imperial ships. Yeah, fucking classic.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you believe that you don't have to wear a helmet in space, you don't have to wear a helmet in space.
And who's going to tell them otherwise?
Did somebody feel the space whale with gas? Of course I feel it with gas. Why do you think it keeps on moving?
Grimaldus says, could you see them riding crotalids? That'd be awesome. Yeah, like I said, riding crotalid orcs would be slow most of the days. You're just kind of sitting in the swamp. But then all of a sudden you get flung into the warp and you're fighting chaos demons off. And that's just the appetizer, because eventually you arrive on the planet that is the actual target. And then you start fighting whatever's there. Yeah.
Ah, amazing.
Those are the perfect kind of backline assaulters. They're assaulting backlines you haven't even heard of yet.
You know how the Titans have those warp missiles where they fire it and then the missile disappears and appears on the other side of the void shield. Instead, you just got crudlid orcs and they materialize on the other side of your void shields and start attacking your Titans, just biting into it by the hundreds.
Oh no.
That's a perfect tactic.
You just see a Titan walking around. There's like 100 crotalids hanging off of its arms just by its teeth as the orcs are climbing off, mounting you.
Love it.
All right.
Oh,
well,
man.
Let's talk about some Beast Snagga Nobs. Beast Snagga Nobs are the fiercest and most brutal of the Beast Snagga warriors, towering figures who lead their kin with unmatched savagery and authority. These hulking leaders are the embodiment of everything their culture holds dear: strength, power, and the relentless hunt for the most monstrous prey. Unlike their lesser counterparts, Beast Snagga Nobs find the regular squigog insufficient for their mighty charge. Instead, they ride into battle atop the terrifying smasher squigs, vicious, armored creatures that are as savage as the orcs themselves. These smasher squigs are adorned in heavy armor, embracing their most fearsome power, and together with their knob riders, they form a terrifying, unstoppable force on the battlefield.
I love the two different orc voices like we typically got. We got that like squeaky kind of guy, and then you got the deep war boss. You know, you got the brutal one, and then you got the cunning one. Very nice.
Yeah, brutally cunning or cunningly brutal. But which is it?
Which is what?
Because all goes back to Gork and Mork.
Praise be Gork and Mork.
That's Gork and Mork intended.
In the name of the Gork and the Mork, amen.
The Beast Snagga Nobs' dominance is not only a product of their savage nature, but also their sheer size and strength. These brutal leaders thrive on chaos, leading their underlings into battle with the same ferocity they use to crush their enemies. They are the top of the food chain among the Beast Snaggas, using their physical prowess and ruthless instincts to carve through enemy lines. Their smasher squigs add a terrifying new dimension to their attack, changing into the battle with a primal fury, causing devastation wherever they go. These nobs are not content to merely follow. They lead with a bloodthirsty drive, eager to hunt the biggest, most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. Adorned in the spoils of battle, the Beast Snagga Nobs are living symbols of the tribe's brutal culture. Their towering frames and terrifying mounts make them stand out even amongst the hulking masses of their kin. With a mix of raw muscle, heavy armor, and the ferocity of a smasher squig beneath them, they tear through the enemy forces without hesitation or mercy. Their sheer presence on the battlefield inspires both fear and awe. For any enemy foolish enough to stand in front of the way knows to face a Beast Snagga Nob is to face certain destruction. The Beast Snagga Nobs are the leaders of a brutal, untamed warband, and with them at the helm, no enemy is safe.
Cool. And then the boys right underneath them, we got the Beast Snagga Boyz. Beast Snagga Boyz are the brutal frontline warriors of the Beast Snagga subsect, Known for their immense strength and unrelenting nature, unlike their kin who ride into battle on squig-hogs, these savage orcs prefer to stand on their own 2 feet, charging headlong into combat with fists clenched and weapons raised. Their life spent hunting the most dangerous creatures has transformed them into the towering muscle-bound juggernauts, larger and more powerful than the average orc boy. However, despite their strength and size, they are not as resilient as a knob, often relying on raw aggression as their unyielding drive to crush their enemies in a flurry of violence. Yeah, that is an interesting thought about how these orcs, since they kind of are more traditional, they're not using big fancy guns to deal with their opponents. They try to actively hunt the tougher targets, so they grow bigger and stronger and greener than all the other orcs do.
Yeah, you gotta blend in with your environment, especially if it's jungly.
Well, that makes it easy because it's all green.
It's all green in here, boys. Yeah. I imagine their kill ratio, no, not their death count, their death tally amongst their own kind is probably higher. But the ones that do survive just get bigger and meaner and greener. Fueled by a lifetime of hunting and brawling, Beast Snagga Boyz are an epitome of brutality and belligerence. Their ferocity in battle knows no equal as they charge into the thick of fighting with savage joy. I almost went Arnold Schwarzenegger there. Savage joy, relishing in the chaos they unleash.
Do it now!
Do it!
As you do the mighty arm high five fist bump thing from the Predator movies.
That's the best kind of fist bump. Get to the chopper!
Get to the squigger! These hulking orcs are more often seen lording over the other boys in their charge, using their immense physical power to dominate their comrades and enemies alike. Their towering frames and relentless nature make them the perfect warriors for close combat, where their strength can be fully brought to bear against any opponent, no matter the odds. In the heat of battle, Beast Snagga Boyz wield terrifying array of weaponry, including sluggers, thump guns, choppers, and the vicious power snappers. Each weapon is an extension of their rage, designed to maim, break, and shatter their foes of their most brutal ways imaginable. Whether it's concussive power of their thump guns, do they even shoot bullets? They just concuss people.
You gotta believe it has bullets.
These warriors fight with single-mindedness that is almost unstoppable. They strike hard and fast, leaving devastation in their wake as they carve through the enemy with sheer force of will and strength. With every battle they fight, Beast Snagga Boyz grow ever more formidable, even more savage, and ever more unstoppable.
Whoa.
It's so hard not to slowly go Arnold Schwarzenegger with York. I mean, Grimaldus in the chat says, "Dylan, you son of a bitch." It's impossible not to read it as Arnold.
Oh, man.
Give me my chopper. Get to the chopper. Whoa.
Oh, man. I am like crying, laughing in the background. I have to mute myself sometimes. Otherwise, you'd just be hearing the three of us giggling like little schoolgirls the entire episode.
Yeah.
Now that we're men, now that we're boys,
we can have a raucous good time, just us boys, enjoying each other's strength.
Just us boys. Gonna commit to the crumpin' and the war and the war boys. And now for something completely different. We're talking about war boys. Warboys are the untamed, chaotic weird boy shamans of the Beast Snagga tribes, embodying the most primal, savage aspects of the Wa energy. These orcs channel raw, animalistic fury of the psychic form, turning their enemies into little more than dust and ashes, or worse, transforming them into mindless squigs. Excuse me. When a warboy unleashes his power, it surges forth like a tidal wave, a violent eruption of psychic energy that leaves no survivors. This connection to the war is so intense, so unrestrained, it often manifests in the most brutal and unpredictable ways, making them both feared and revered in equal measure by their fellow Beast Snaggas. Mask got messed up there. Off the battlefield, the war boys serve a far more spiritual purpose within their tribes. They are the link between the Beast Snaggas and the Orkish gods, Gork and Mork acting as pseudo shamans who
What does Gorkenmore Church look like? You know, on Sunday, all the orcs get together, and it's just like, shit, did we go to the bar brawl or did we go to the Gorkenmore Church? Either one, it's just always ends in a fucking fight. Half the congregation dies.
One half of the church, it's like a wedding, you know, where you've got the groom and then the bride on one side. It's Gork on the left or Mork on the right. Or wait, is it Mork on the right and Gork on the
Only
left?
one way to find out, and that's through fighting.
Gork and Mork want you to find the difference between these two pictures. They're the same picture. I'm just going to do that paragraph all over again because I completely lost my place. Off the battlefield, the war boys serve a far more spiritual purpose within their tribes. They're the link between the Beast Snaggas and the Orkish gods. Gork and Mork acting like a pseudo shamans who interpret the will of the divine with cryptic visions and twisted prophecies. These visions are often incoherent and strange, but their message is clear to those who follow the Beast Snagga way, hunt the biggest, most dangerous creature in the galaxy. The War Boys' proclamation sends the hunters into the frenzies of anticipation, guiding their next prey and fueling the burning bloodlust that defines their culture. Their divine status within the tribe sets them apart from regular weird boys, granting them a level of respect and reverence that few orcs can ever hope to achieve.
I love that. The night before church, they all just start having like these crazy fucking dreams together. And then they go and try to decipher them at church through the weird pseudo shamans of the war boys. I had a dream that I was crumping, and while I was crumping, I found some teeth on the floor. What does it mean? It means they're gonna get well.
And you know what I'm going to do with those teeth? I'm going to go and trade them in for some of that squig off butt ale and a new mech arm after the Squigosaurus bit mine off.
I need some teeth so I can pay for some squig grease to oil my mech boy.
Toughest job in the galaxy deciphering these dreams, but also the easiest. Who's gonna argue?
Oh no, they should get a good crumping to their fights if they do.
You want to say crumping? Let's go.
I just want to say too, Mark, when you were writing these notes for this episode, you totally wrote it in a way that it makes it impossible not to read it as an orc. I mean, every time one of the orc written words comes up, it's so impossible not to switch to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, like it's a second language all of a sudden. Your native tongue. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like that meme where someone like did all the orc scenes from Lord of the Rings, but it was like completely worded by like normal people. What is it? What do you smell? Man flesh. Let's move.
What about their legs? They don't need those.
What about their legs? They don't need those.
I haven't had anything but maggoty bread for 3 stinking days. Yeah, why can't we have some meats? Well, meat's back on the menu.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I don't just love 40K. I might like Lord of the Rings too a little bit. And no, I mean, yeah, maybe I can do that entire scene off the top of my head, but we're not going to go.
My favorite orc is the middle management orc that Sauron has. It's like, where are you gonna get an army that big? Like, he's walking down, judging all Sauron's plans, like Saruman's plans. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that assistant manager position.
Oh,
Assistant to the regional manager, mind you.
Who do you serve? Saruman.
To help focus their otherwise uncontrollable psychic powers, would make use of the eyes of Mork, mystical devices that I'm just gonna do mystical devices that allow them to tap into the divine energy of Gork and Mork with greater precision. These strange, often crude instruments to help the war boys to harness their violent gifts and use them with some semblance of control. Despite the chaos that surrounds their every action, these devices grant them a measure of clarity, allowing them to focus their rage and psychic potential into something that can lead the tribes to victory. However, this control is fleeting, as the primal nature of the warboy, its powers is always just beneath the surface, ready to explode at any moment. In the end, the warboys are not just warriors; they are living embodiment of the Beast Snagga way, untamed and wild, guarded by visions of the gods themselves.
I love their war gear. How oftentimes to ground themselves, so actually like take a piece of copper wire, wrap it around their staff, and then have it so when they're walking, they're actually grounding all their psychic energies into the ground. Otherwise, it's a good chance to just explode if too many orcs get too rowdy around them.
Oh yeah, their heads will pop. Yeah.
Just another day in Sunday school.
See, I want to know how much of this is actual visions or how much of this is just bad alcohol. Well, some of the other monstrosities are their kill rigs. Let me get into it. Kill rigs are a monstrous creation that embodies the savage but might and raw power of the Beast Snagga tribes. These colossal war machines are pulled into battle by the massive trampler Squigs, towering beasts whose strength allows the kill rigs to crush anything in their path. Whether it's a line of infantry or the heavily armored vehicle, nothing stands in the way of the kill rig as it plows forward in unrelenting fury. The sight of these terrifying behemoths charging into battle is enough to send even the bravest enemy fleeing in fear. The kill rigs are a symbol of the Beast Snagga's primal strength, its unstoppable force of nature that represents the desires to hunt, destroy, and dominate. At the heart of each kill rig is a war boy, a Beast Snagga weird boy who channels.
It's so off-putting now hearing normal English. It's like, I don't want to learn that way. Give me the orc. Your poor voice, though.
Oh no, it's okay. I mean, I can keep going if this is what the audience prefers. Let us know in the chat if you're.
It's the only way I can learn now. I
I
think.
think so too. Yeah. As we're doing this, guys, let us know if you prefer doing the gits and war bosses or just the normal English.
Jack says Nick is a gloom sprite git with that accent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very cunning.
Yeah, cunningly brutal.
This makes me flash back to one of the listener lores of the, I think it was one of the orc ones, and it was actually like the grot that was like on his shoulder that was just whispering to him and in control of the thing. Nick's grot sounds like that Nick's grot sounds like that grot to me.
Yeah. I recall that one. That was a great story.
Yeah, Nick Grut is just a small little like he's got like the littlest squig that he rides on. Like he's only like maybe a foot tall. At the heart of each killer rig is a war boy, a Beast Snagga weird boy who channels the raw power of the Wah energy through a massive contraption known as a war tower. These devices amplifies the psychic energy of the war boy, allowing them to unleash crackling lances of pure orky power at the enemies. These psychic blasts are devastating, disintegrating targets with a burst of violent animalistic energy. However, not all Beast Snaggas are fond of housing these volatile war boys within their war machines. Some, more cautious than others, prefer to convert their killer rigs into hunter rigs, foregoing the danger of the war boy in favour of the more reliable fighting vehicle. Beyond the psychic devastation of the war boy powered blast, the kill rig is
I don't like it. I don't like it anymore.
Nope, and you ruined it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Beyond the psychic devastation of the warboy power blasts, the killer rig is armed with an array of brutal weapons to ensure its dominance on the battlefield. The heavy lobber, a massive artillery weapon, can lob high projectiles with explosive force, while the sticker cannon provides the killer rig with a long-range weapon capable of ripping through enemy armor. Together, these rigs make the kill rig a nightmare for any foe unlucky to face it. In the hands of a Beast Snagga, the kill rig becomes more than just a vehicle. It's a harbinger of destruction, a moving fortress that brings the full fury of the Wah to bear any who stand in its way.
Yeah, you kind of sound like I did when I was going through puberty with that voice. So that's why it's so relatable, and that's why I can learn so well when reading it.
Oh, yeah, awesome. Okay, so I make sure I keep doing the Grout accent. Okay.
Yeah, the kill rig is cool. Basically, it's like a chariot essentially strapped to a bunch of beasts and then mounted up with boys. pretty straightforward, really. It's a great tactic. If it's good enough for the Romans and the Egyptians, it's good enough for the Orks.
Exactly.
We have the hunter rig next, which is very similar but a little different. We'll get to it. Hunter rigs are formidable war machines built for the Beast Snagga tribes that reject the chaos of volatile war boys, opting instead for a more straightforward approach to battle. These massive vehicles are drawn into war by immense trample squigs, whose strength allows the rigs to plow through enemy lines with frightening speed. Unlike the kill rigs, which house unstable war boys, the hunter rigs are designed to carry the fury of the Beast Snagga mobs themselves. With extra decks and grab handles, the war machines are perfect for transporting the beastly orcs into the thick of the fight and letting them leap into the battle with the wild howls and rage and anticipation. I mixed those two up a little bit, but yeah. So these guys are more of they get pulled by the actual beast, where the first one is they get pulled through by the war boys. Yeah. Hunter Rigs is a blend of brute strength and brutal firepower, armed with the heavy lobber and the sticker cannon to lay waste to enemy ranks before the orcs even reach them. These weapons allow the Rigs to clear a path through the opposing forces, blasting every obstacle away in the wake of with deadly precision. But it's not just firepower that makes the Hunter Rig such a terrifying force on the battlefield. Even the Squig-powered mounts add an extra layer of chaos and destruction. The trample Squigs alongside Orks themselves lend a ferocious energy to the Hunter Rigs, allowing Beast Snaggas to charge into battle with a wild abandon, unstoppable in their pursuit of the hunt. Despite their ferocity and heavy weaponry, Hunter Rigs embody the true spirit of Beast Snaggas, a relentless drive for battle without the need for violent psychic energies of the war boys. Instead, they rely on the raw strength of their orc warriors and their monstrous squig mounts to overpower any enemy that dares stand in their way. The Hunter Rigs are more than just war machines of war. They are symbols of the Beast Snagga's devotion to the hunt, an unrelenting force of nature that drives them to chase down their prey and crush it and emerge victorious. Whether charging into battle with a deafening roar or unleashing devastating firepower, the Hunter Rigs are a terrifying force that can scatter even the most well-prepared enemies with ease. Cool.
Yeah, we need more firepower.
Get down!
We need more firepower. Get down! Get into chopper!
Yeah. So these guys all got cool models recently. And I was looking at them, and yeah, they're very cool, man. From them just wearing like leather or hide or even scales sometimes. Definitely, they're mounting weird skulls on their armor. I kind of just picturing even taking Orks from AOS and turning them into a type of fucking Snagga boy.
You read my mind, Mark.
You read
I
my
was
mind.
just about to
Yep.
say that. Like,
We all share one mind of Gork and Mork here, boys.
We're all sharing the same vision. But yeah, a very Age of Sigmar, even fantasy side of it. These guys are super fitting.
Exactly. The three of us all share one brain cell, and none of us have it.
We all shared the same fungus pod as we were pupating.
That's nice for us.
And now we get to talk about the Squigs. Squigs, the brutal and ferocious squiggly beasts, are the simplest form of orcoid life, a constant presence in the savage tribes of the greenskins. Lacking intelligence but overflowing with untamed rage, these creatures live to devour, tear, and destroy. Squigs come in many forms, each with its own violent role in the orc ecosystem. Some are bred for their meat, others kept as vicious pets, and the largest of them are mounted and ridden into battle, wreaking havoc on everything in their path.
Yeah, you wonder how large of a grot that is, though. Like, just picture this massive fuck-off orc, 12-foot war boss riding this grot on his shoulder, and it's like, bastard, get off! Just crushes them every time.
I'd like to imagine there is what was the one's name? Grimlore crossover. There is a we talk about a grot or goblin in this case called Grom the Paunch, and he was a very big grot for his size because he just kept on eating. So
nice. And if you
Anyways.
eat and fight, you grow.
Exactly.
And maybe you too, one little grotling. You too can be an orc.
Clans specializing in breeding these savage beasts push them into even greater size and aggression, creating a never-ending cycle of war and bloodshed. The Squigs feed on anything they can sink their teeth into, from the refuse of their orc masters to local plants, animals, and even their own kind. In turn, they serve as the primary food source for the orcs alongside orcoid fungus, sustaining the green tide as it consumes everything in its path across the galaxy. It's been whispered by the Adeptus Mechanicus that the orcs' forebearers may have created these beasts to serve as a mobile food chain, fueling the relentless expansion of the orc race across the stars. These savage creatures are born and bred into the filth and refuse of orc settlements, their squirming forms thriving in the drops, cesspits. Their squirming forms thriving in the drops, cesspits where orcs dispose of their waste. Here, Gretchen and Snotlings are tasked with the dirty work of collecting them, hauling the Squigs out of the muck to serve whatever brutal purpose is required. Whether they're slaughtered for food or bred for battle, Squigs are a vital part of orc life, treated as little more than tools for war and survival. Some Squigs are bred for specific purposes, such as the medicinal varieties that the Pain Boys cherish, known for their unique properties. These medical Squigs are raised in cages, bottles, or even special latrines dug by the orcs. Guarded by grot orderlies, these latrines become Squig farms, where Pain Boys cultivate the creatures for their healing uses, including live swab Squigs and syringe Squigs, which serve the gruesome needs of orc medicine. Some are preserved and used for potions, while others are experimented on to create new, more effective strains of Squigs for medical purposes. Pain Boys, driven by obsession, take great pride in their ability to raise and mutate these creatures, often developing new breeds for their own twisted needs. At the core of Orc society, the Squigs are more than just beasts. They are a tool, a weapon, and a source of sustenance. Their very existence is intertwined with the green-skinned race, feeding their hunger and fueling their violent ways. Whether they are used as food, pets, or instruments of destruction, Squigs are integral to the Orc savage way of life in every corner of the galaxy, from the deepest cesspits of Orc settlements to the blood-soaked battlefields. The Squigs surge forth, relentless, untamed, and always hungry for more.
Wah!
Whoa!
In my headcanon, Nick Gretchen is absolutely working in one of these latrines, just arm deep in one of these medical squigs, gathering refuse for one of the bigger orcs crafting medicine.
It's a simple life, but it's a good life.
Love me orcs, love me squigs, love me fighting, simple as.
Simple as. We did a great episode way back, episode 48, called Grots, Snots, and Squigs, and we just came up with all the different snots and squigs and grots and all the different variations and stuff. Somebody came up with like a Zippo squig where you got to light those cigars somehow, so you have this one squig that you squeeze, rasp its tongue a little bit, and it creates a little spark to light your cigar. Yeah, squigs are super cool because they come in all shapes and sizes, and I think you can, like, it almost sounds like you can make different types. Like, you breed this squig with this squig, and now you might get a chance of getting a different type of squig altogether.
Oh, yeah. You're in the middle of the jungle and you're thirsty. What do? You reach down to your pack and you pull out a water bottle squig, and you just squeeze it and spray its innards into your mouth, and it's quite refreshing.
Perspirant.
Delicious. So let's talk about some of the types of Beast Snagga squigs. The Smasher Squig. The Smasher Squig is a beast of pure, unrelenting destruction, a living wrecking ball with jaws that could crush steel. These oversized squigs is bred for chaos and carnage, used by Orks as a battering ram for smashing through enemy lines. Its massive body is built like a tank, charging headfirst in a battle with little care for its own safety or the destruction it leaves in its wake. Fueled by an insatiable hunger for violence, just like me, the Smasher Squig crashes through fortifications, tearing apart anything in its path, often leaving nothing but blood and rubble behind. Orks, having been known to use them as shock troops, unleash them into enemy ranks, knowing that Smasher Squig's only desire is to break and destroy until it is brought down. Next up, we've got the Squig-hog. The Squig-hog is a terrifying hybrid of Squig and Warboar. Warboar. Bred for
How do
orcs
you
for
make that
speed,
happen?
power, and a thriller.
I've heard of fucking chickens, but pigs? Come on.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you got to roll them pigs in a battle, you know. Especially for a small Gretchen. The Squig-hog is a terrifying hybrid of Squig and Warboar, bred by Orks for speed, power, and the thrill of the hunt. Smaller than a Squig-off, but still formidable, the Squig-hog charges across the battlefield with unbridled ferocity, its tusks and claws tearing through anything unfortunate enough to stand in its way. Ork riders mount these beasts with abandon, charging into battle with reckless abandon as the Squig-hog rips into enemy formations. Its relentless energy and unpredictable nature makes it a terror on the front lines, able to weave through obstacles and tear through infantry with ease. A Squig-hog is a living missile, and when it locks onto a target, there's no stopping it. And I've got to say, as I'm reading this, you put some pretty big words in there that I don't fully understand. So forgive me if I'm just reading it pro bono.
The bigger the word, the better to bludgeon your enemy with.
Gork and Mork demand big words. Don't mean I have to know exactly what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Leave that to the war boys.
Them big thinkers. So you also have the Squigosaur. A true terror of the battlefield, the Squigosaur is a towering monstrosity, a grotesque fashion of squig and dinosaur that wreaks havoc with sheer physical might. Its massive, scaly body is equipped with long, snapping jaws and a tail capable of sweeping away entire squads in a single strike. The Squigosaur is a living juggernaut, unrelenting and destructive, charging into enemy ranks with and leaving devastation in its wake. Bred for both battle and dominance, it is a beast that thrives on pure violence, using its size and strength to crush anything in its path. Orc tribes have been known to revere them as living gods of destruction, letting these beasts loose to trample over their enemies with little mercy or restraint. So yeah, if you want to show your dominance and pound down your fellow orcs, get yourself a Squigosaur.
Get yourself 2 Squigosaurs if you're a mighty war boss.
We are having a offer today. Buy one Squigosaur, get the second one free or half off.
Buy within the next 24 hours and we're throwing a grot. Gamaldus says, I can't see the pen being mightier than the choppa in orc culture. Well, like I said, depends on how big that word is that you make. You can make a pretty big word that you can bludgeon your opponents with. It's like that telephone book thing, except hopefully you do leave some bruises. The next squiggly beast that we're going to talk about is the trample squig. The trample squig is a vicious, stomping creature that embodies the orc love for chaos and destruction. Built like a massive squig with thick armored hide and massive feet, the trample... I just picture like such disproportioned feet for this thing, like just massive hoof things. The trample squig is used to crush enemies underfoot. Yeah, you with dogs, you like breed them for like tail size or something. This, it's all just bred for hoof size. Its body is a living wrecking machine capable of trampling whole squads into the dirt with ease. Yet the trample squig's behavior is simple yet brutal. It charges at anything that moves, trampling them beneath its weight and leaving nothing but devastation in its wake. Orc warbands use these beasts as mobile siege weapons, allowing them to flatten anything in their path. From the enemy infantry to sturdy fortifications with little concern for what lies ahead. The trample squig is an orc equivalent of the rolling apocalypse, an unstoppable once set loose.
I just want to say, Mark, if we ever do a drunk hammer in the future, it has to be an orc episode.
Or a Space Wolf episode.
Oh man, like either of those would be amazing. It's gonna devolve to us just laughing for like 10 minutes straight at some point.
Again, this is a cause I believe in. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, they are, and I mean, if you can't have fun and laugh about it, what's the point in doing it?
exactly.
Purge says, do orcs have a written language? I think it's mostly just in glyphs. Like, yeah, you would be able to get an orc to read like low or write in low Gothic orcish. But like, yeah, it's mostly through glyphs is how they write down their language. Like, they don't have a lot of complex ideas they're trying to get across. It's like their one symbol is like the sign of an explosion. It's like, well, okay, we're gonna explode this over here. It doesn't have to be super complicated.
In the Warhammer Plus cartoon episode dedicated to the orcs, Gaskell and whatnot, like you do see a little bit of orc script. It basically just looks like graffiti, like emojis and graffiti is what it looks like.
Emojis and graffiti.
Yeah, I was listening to an amazing audio drama, and it was a freeboot orc with a rogue trader, and they were visiting a local hive city governor who was a this woman. They were trying to set up a trade deal with it, and she was amazed that it knew low Gothic. And she asked the rogue trader, she was like, "Did you teach him low Gothic yourself?" And the orc goes, "No, I think I always knew it. Just one day I got hit in the head, and I woke up and I could speak it."
I wish that worked for me in Spanish, man. Fuck.
Have you been hit in the head recently?
No, I've been avoiding that, but maybe I'll give that a whirl. I was always told not to, but
Yeah.
clearly I'm doing it wrong.
Cool. Let me get on a plane. I'll bring a baseball bat with me, and we'll just keep hitting you until Spanish comes out.
Buenos dias.
I don't want to derail us because I know we go on some crazy tangents. You should check it up, and anyone in the audience. Sometimes there's a story about a guy that had taken Mandarin when he was younger, went into a coma, and when he woke up, all he could speak was Mandarin. He had completely forgotten English because his brain just had so much damage to it.
That's crazy. Okay, I'm asking. So we all speak English here, but speaking like Spanish, I wonder what like orc Spanish sounds like, or German Spanish. German orcish, I mean. So I went to chatbot real quick and I said, "Can you mix that with German and orc?" Das Nickspikes, ja, die Scheibenprogges in der Head in uns live frei und Okay, I'll just let's see if somebody can read this a little bit better than I can.
Send that text to me. Send that text to me. I want to see if I can read it.
I just put it in our comment section there.
And I love that it crossed German, but spelled some of it orcish.
Yeah. Loyal to the fair ways, they schleiben progress in the head und live in frei und untamed. Yikes.
Info
the fill alone, keine Loot, keine Glory, just blood, violence, und the Jagd. Loyal to the fairways, they schießen Progress und the head und live frei und untamed.
Loyal to the fairways, they schießen Progress in the head und lieben frei der untamed. Ein Zeichen o survival und stark. Only the toughest warboys who take their serpents deadliest und.
Is this a hate crime of sorts? Maybe. It's only against the Germans, so fuck it, I guess.
Hey, haben Sie gehört das deutsche Band, mein Freund?
Yes, Fräulein.
Ja, ich kann ein kleines Deutsch sprechen.
Oh, sprichst du Deutsch, Freundin? Ja.
As someone who has lived in Germany for some of their formative years, it's an amazing place. Definitely anyone should go and
I
visit.
thought you were in London or something like that.
I am a man of world travel.
World traveler.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Did you pick up the languages when you moved to other spots, or like?
So, when I lived in Germany, I knew some German enough, kind of conversationally, and to be able to understand it. But it's been 16 years.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
you use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I lost most of it.
Well, the one good thing about orcs is WOG is the same in every language. WOG!
Whoa! Whoa!
Yeah. See, I did mine in Spanish. Gerald did his in English, and Nick did his in German. So it's the same in every language. It's beautiful.
It was actually Russian.
Ah. Oh man. All right. Well, let's carry on to the next beast, the Squig-wranglers. The Squig-wranglers is a massive, lumbering behemoth of a creature, combining the chaotic nature of the Squigs and the raw power of an ancient war beast. With its enormous size, thick hide, and gaping maw, the Squig-wranglers is an unstoppable force of nature, capable of laying waste to it. Now my mind is just broken from reading German, Orcish, English. Listen, this is like a dinosaur elephant squig, okay? They ride it, they can hold a whole bunch. They're equivalent to titans, man. They're fucking cool. They have a Forge World model for this where, I've always wanted to see
It's super
somebody
cool.
take like a Lord of the Rings Mummicule and convert it into one of these.
That is the most amazing thing about orcs is you can take models from anywhere and kit bash them till your heart's content and it be something 40k.
Grimaldus in the chat says, yeah, it's like the Mummicule.
Mhm.
Jack says her Jaeger from the Bellacore episode would be pleased. So very nice, very nice. The comments are pretty funny.
Look, Mr. Frodo, it's a squig-off. me old gaffer told me about them.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
And the last squiggly beast we're going to talk about that the Beast Snaggers really enjoy is the Orchiosaurus. The Orchiosaurus is a beast of colossal proportions, a terrifying hybrid of orc ingenuity and prehistoric ferocity, bred for absolute destruction. With its towering muscle-bound frame, this monstrous creature lumbers across the battlefield like an unstoppable juggernaut, its jagged teeth and massive claws capable of tearing through even the toughest of armor. The Orchiosaurus is a true weapon of war, used by the orcs as both a terror and symbol of raw power. Its thunderous roar echoes through the ranks, sending shivers down the spines of its enemies who are about to be crushed underfoot. Fearless in battle, the Orchosaurus charges headlong into the fray, trampling everything under its path. The orc riders clinging to its back, eager to wreak havoc and destruction. Nothing stands in the way for long as the Orchiosaurus blazes a bloody trail of devastation, leaving only chaos and ruin in its wake.
Yes, yes.
So at the beginning of some movies and stuff like that, it'll throw up like a warning, like please be advised if you're going to listen to this. There might be some extreme violence stuff like that. We're going to have to go back into the beginning of the episode and throw up some sort of warning that if you want to hear three guys do their best orc impressions and laugh hysterically, this is the episode for you.
This episode has been rated S for sheer stupidity.
Yeah. When Space Marine turns on, it gives you that seizure warning. I think the same thing could happen. So we'll put a couple warnings down. Yeah, this is a stupid warning, the seizure warning. Just be careful.
Awesome.
Jax asked real quick, does anyone play Freeblade, the 40k night mobile game? Yeah, I played that when it first came out. I loved it. It was a lot of fun for what it was, for just a free app. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It killed my phone battery so bad, though.
Yeah. The Squig-wranglers are in that, and it's fun watching knights and Squig-wranglers fight each other.
So many orc trucks. But But now we get to talk about the Grots. Gretchen, also known as Grots or Brunts, are the lowly expendable slaves of the Ork race, relegated to the menial tasks that the Orks consider beneath them. These pitiful creatures, smaller and weaker than their brutish masters, have a body built for survival through cunning rather than strength. With short, stubby legs and sharp fangs to navigate the savage world of Ork society. Their large, bulbous heads are topped with ragged ears that flatten when fear takes hold, and their sharp jaws are as a primary weapon in a world where only the strongest survive. With excellent senses of smell, hearing, and sight, especially in the dark, Gretchen are adept at avoiding the violent wrath of the Ork overlords. Some even possess strength, a strange, uncanny luck, often surviving situations that would spare certain death for others. A twisted form of fortune in a world that values only strength and brutality.
Well, isn't that quite something?
I don't know why, but I guess my Grotzer speak with a German accent, so here we go. In Ork society,
It reminds me of the Orc rebellions. They have some sweet minis where it's like Grots rebelling, and they're usually based off like Soviet Russia. They have some sweet minis. I don't know if you've ever seen them on Cromlech before.
oh yeah, the Red Gobble.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, what I imagine too is for some reason Inquisitors and Commissars always have like some sort of Dutch German accent. Like if you ever watch videos of York talking, he always talks in like a German accent. It's just you're there dictating to a menial as they're writing down notes.
In the Votan book, the High Calls Oath that I'm going through listening, like the only Imperials that you actually meet are like a Navy captain and his lieutenant. They all speak in like the most ridiculous German accents too.
Yes, der Schlupenschleifen.
In Ork society, Gretchen serves the masters with little complaint. For them, it is just the way things are. They know their place in the food chain and rarely challenge it. While most Gretchen are slaves to Orks, there are those who carve out their own life in niches in the chaotic Ork world. Some gather into tribes, forming loose collectives that may even possess their own weapons and equipment, though they're always under the shadow of the Ork. Of the Ork overlord's name. I'm getting my accents mixed up here. A strange entrepreneurial spirit thrives among them, with many Gretchen running black market businesses, trading fungus beer, roasting squigs, or betting in fights. These pitiful creatures have even been known to loot corpses, collecting scraps of the violent world they live in, and turn it into a cruel form of profit. Rebel Grots, a faction of disillusioned slaves, has even dared to rise against their masters, using the surprising organizational skills to build and maintain war machines and artillery, for their rebellions are often short-lived. Despite their reputations cowardly, weak, and unorky, Gretchen can survive on their own if pushed to it. Some have even managed to carve out their own empires on distant planets, mimicking the warlord culture of the Ork oppressors. Yet no matter where they go or how they manage to organize, the term grot remains a slur among Orks, a reminder of their status as lesser beings. Orks scorn them, seeing them as little more than tools for their use, not fit to fight beside true warriors. And yet, despite the scorn, the Gretchen endure, surviving through their wits, living in the shadows of their masters, and always finding ways to scrape by the savage, brutal world of the Orks.
Yeah, very cool. I love the little, like, whenever they just mimic the bigger Orks. So they have their own little empire. They have their own little war bosses coming and running around doing things. But then as soon as the Orks get anywhere near them, they all just like cower and get eaten. But until then, they're just like these happy little guys doing their thing, trying to mimic the big boys. They're like this annoying little brother you might have. So we're going to talk about now. We're really building out this episode with Squiggas and Grots, and now we're going to talk about the most famous two Beast Snagga Boyz. And the first is Mozrog Squagbad. And Mozrog Squagbad, a snakebite Beast Snagga beast boss.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, what the fuck is that? The snakebite Beast Snagga beast boss. is a name whispered in terror, known across the waste for riding a great white squig, Big Chompa. Oh yeah, man. I think there is like a very like nice relationship between the war boss and his like pet. Like they give him a fun nickname. They scratch behind the ears with the power claw. I think they really have a good relationship.
Exactly. And just one second. Hey, Purge. Yeah, I'm not responsible for lighting the candles on Nick's side of things. That's his own problem.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, see, there he is. Speak of the devil.
Hey,
It head banged itself, did it? Your Wi-Fi head banged.
We were having so much fun and laughing so hard. My streaming here decided to go the way of an orc. Just brain dead.
send me the name
Yeah.
of the tech priest in charge of lighting your candles. I need to give him a stern talking to.
It doesn't help that it's storming like crazy outside too. So
I will carry on with Mosaic Snegbrad, the snakebite Beast Snagga Beast Boss, and his legendary squig, the Big Chompa. This legend of brutality is no mere orc. He lived for the hunt and for blood and the carnage of the beast world. His tribe always knew him as one who preferred the company of squigs over orcs, roaming alone like a crazy cat orc man. Just likes his squigs. The squigs get me.
Instead of the crazy cat lady, is the crazy squig orc.
Yeah, exactly. Roaming alone in self-imposed exile, hunting one massive monster after another, his tribe mates may mutter that the isolation twisted his mind, but not even they dare challenge his bloody tally of kills. Then the tide of war pulled Mosrog from his solitary life when the tribe threw themselves into a Wog Gob Grinder's invasion of Yen II. A hellhole ruled by the Iron Warriors. In the heat of battle, fate would throw him into the belly of the gigantic subterranean beast, the Gut Maw. His squig steed didn't make it, but Mozrog, he survived. How exactly remains a tale distorted by myth and savagery, but it's said that Mozrog clawed and scraped his way back out from the inside, killing the beast in the process. What followed was a grotesque return, days later half digested and dripping with gore. Mozrog dragged the beast's massive eyeball back to the camp. The orcs, in awe of the sheer brutality, did not question his survival. Warboss Gobgrinder had his finest pain boys patch him up with bionics. At some point in the monstrous rebirth, Mozrog claimed the legendary power claw, Gut Ripper, a weapon forged from nothing short of annihilation. It's like the Powerpuff Girls, but like a weapon. Chaos and annihilation and everything blunders.
amazing. I think it's hilarious that he drug this massive
Yeah.
eyeball back to camp, but then it said he was patched up with bionics, including a power claw. So that means he could have lost both of his arms. So what? He's just dragging it back with his teeth?
I would not be surprised.
No.
Since that death-defying escape, Mozrog's thirst for battle bigger and deadlier warrior has grown. Some orcs whisper that he can't be killed. Yeah, here comes a cough. Okay, some orcs whisper that he can't be killed. Others think that one day, he will hunt the very stars. Whatever the truth, Morzog has become a living nightmare to those who follow him. His warband has swelled so large it now represents entire Beast Snagga forces, each orc trailing behind him, desperate for the taste of his savage glory. At his side, as always, is a Big Chompa, an albino squig that once tore through the land like a living storm, known as the untamable beast, the bad beast, the scramp mud, and that fine won't eat boss Norbeg's buggy. Yeah. What a nickname. Really rolls off the tongue, that nickname.
Boss Norbeg's buggy.
Big Chompa was a terror in his own right. Some say Morzog's mere glare tamed this creature, but the truth is far uglier. 3 brutal days of bashing and wrestling and bloody struggle were needed before Morzog finally bent the squig to his will. Since that moment, the two have become inseparable. But not by choice. If Morzog leaves Big Chompa alone for even a moment, the squig will rampage, ripping and tearing everything in sight until nothing but bloody ruin remains. And Morzog knows it, and so he stays close, always hunting, always ready for the next kill. I'm telling you, man, they have a very nice relationship, these two. What kind of separation anxiety does poor Big Champa have, you know? Poor guy.
You can't be a war boss without your trusty Squig in the Beast Snaggas.
No, you cannot.
You gotta take care of that Squig, treat it nice, feed it a couple Gretchen here and there. It won't go missing. Next up, we've got Zodgrod Wartsnagga. Zodgrod Wartsnagga is one of the most infamous and brutal run-thirders in Ork history. Carved his name in the annals of the greenskin race with his savage cunning and bloody ambition. His rise to power began as a slaver in Unglad Duffgrunter's Chargers tribe, a band of snakeboys with boasted an uncommon level of technology or shiny things. Tasked with wrangling snotlings for the tribe's shock attack gun, Zodgrod did what others thought impossible. He trained his snotlings and squigs to an extraordinary level. They could do basic arithmetic. 1 + 1 = 2 grotlings. Molding them in a feared force known as his commander runts. His success spread quickly amongst local orcs, and they were able to do basic finance for all of the orcs. And Zodgrod became a legend for his savage discipline, but his path took a bloody turn when he grew ferociously protective of his snotlings, particularly after one of his poor Squigs was killed and devoured by another orc. Furious, Zodgrod confronted the mech Osmog, who tried to use his precious snotlings in a shock attack gun. The confrontation ended in a violent clash, with Zodgrod snapping Osmog's body into a bloody pulp. And boy, was it glorious. Firing it through Osmog's own weapon. The aftermath was chaos. Zodgrod was banished, nearly costing Deathcounter's War Bandits victory. Banishment didn't break Zodgrod. It set him loose to wander the galaxy like a savage predator. Armed with deadly grabber stick, the grabber zapper, Zodgrod roamed the fringes of Orc society, offering his expertise in wrangling and growth serums to desperate Orcs in exchange for power and wealth. During his travels, he uncovered the secret philosophies of Narflung, a mysterious rat who had experimented with Gretchen, turning them into super runts. Zodgrod, ever the inventor, took these methods and twisted them into his own brand of madness. Using his modified serum and mixture of brutal concoction, Zodgrod transformed his Gretchen into shock troopers, vicious, cunning, and far more dangerous than any common grot. These super runts, including frothing mobs, killer cans, and even like artillery, creating a force that defied the normal weakness of the Gretchen. With Zodgrod's super runts earned him both awe and fear, they also made him a target of scorn. Traditionalist Orcs saw the very idea of elevating grots an affront to the core of Orc society. Grots were meant to be weak, expendable, and tools for Orcs to crush beneath their boot wheels. But Zodgrod, unbothered by such opinions, continued his rampage, recruiting any disparate war boss foolish enough to trust him and his grotesque army. His beliefs, that grots were more than cannon fodder, marked him as a pariah in Orc culture. But it was a Snagga clans where Zodgrod found his true home. Here, amidst the savage wild ways of Beast Snaggas, Zodgrod's unyielding vision of Orc dominance took root in his Gretchen army with no limits. I'm just telling you, he dead wrong. Them grots there definitely cannon fire. Ask me, I'll shoot them out with my cannon all the time.
Oh,
Yeah, jeez. Yeah, that's a fun guy. Makes non-expendable Gretchens and stuff. Everyone gets mad at him, but he's like, no, they're my precious little buds.
It's like Lord of the Flies when you're the biggest, baddest, and all the rest of you are just Gretchen. You know they're going to look up to you.
Cool. Yeah, so that kind of is his little deal. I kind of picture his army too. It's kind of cool how he teaches them a couple things. He teaches them math as well. It's funny that they can't do math. They need to be taught 1 + 1. Like they can't even do math on their hands correctly until that.
And don't forget the number that comes after 2. It's second plus 1.
Well, some of them have 3 fingers, some of them have 4, you know.
That's nice. That's real nice. All
Yeah.
right. Well, that's our notes. We're gonna go to the call-in portion of this show. Get some more boys in the chat. See what kind of opinions are worth having and worth hearing. The first boy up is actually War Boss Grimaldus. Welcome to the show.
Methinks that was the best episode yet, boys. Honestly, that was fucking awesome, guys. All the accents, you guys were putting it right on point. I was in tears the whole episode. Congratulations.
Fantastic.
So were we. So were we.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
classic. It's so nice. Like, this is exactly what the Orks were designed to do from the beginning, is take you out of the grim dark for a hot minute and just provide us a nice little laugh together before we get thrown back in.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I actually just recently picked up the 10th edition Orc Codex. I was looking at some of the newer models that I've just never seen before. And I was looking at the big chop of Squig, and I was like, man, do I need to get it? Do I need to get it? And now you guys just sold me on it. So I'm going to have to get a whole bunch of Beast Snagga Boyz and just mop them up now.
When you go to Games Workshop and you're looking at that wall of beautiful orcs and you're thinking to yourself, do I need to buy it? The answer is always yes.
Always.
Yes.
That's why I try and avoid the stores, man. I spend too much money there. But I mean, the wall of plastic, it looks so good.
Yeah, and if you don't buy it, somebody
Mhm.
else will, and then you miss out. And you don't want to miss out, do you?
Yeah, I don't want this. I don't want to pay scalper fees for that. Fuck that.
And you don't want to wait a month for it to come back in stock. I mean, who has that kind of time?
Not me.
Exactly. It's just awful.
Well, I got a question for you, but I think it self-answers, but maybe you tell me why. Was the Beast Snaggas a fun addition to the Orks? Do we like it?
Personally, I do. It was a really nice transition. Kind of gives the blood snakes something more
That
to have.
snake bites to you.
Or yeah, snake bites. Sorry, we be a golf in this house. So with that in mind, though, it's a great little set to throw in. You know, I did run a shit ton of Speed Freak, like biker boys, biker knobs. So it's like the same thing, just with less DACA and more choppa.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Like, sometimes orcs just get possessed by an idea, whether it's they just want to go fast, and yeah, a war is part of that, but really they just want to go fast. And these guys, they just want to tame beasts and kill the biggest thing they can find.
Well, they's the best, that's why.
That's why.
I get possessed every time I go into a hobby shop that sells 40K, you know? I'm possessed to buy it.
It's like when you're fucking driving and you get to work and you're like, how the fuck did I get? I don't remember that drive. You're always walking to GW and walking out with all these boxes. Like, oh, fuck, not again.
Asshole the size of a trash can lid. Just like, holy shit, how did I just spend that much money?
Fuck.
Uh,
Oh, man.
Must have been the Slaneshi demon that I talked to last night.
Musta.
Gosh.
If you could ride one creature of anything in 40K, maybe, you know, you're a Grox rider, what do you think you would want to ride?
100%. I said in the chat earlier, the Crotolid. I know it seems like it's just like nothing could be going on, but then you could be going on for one hell of a ride.
Yeah. Just thrown into the warp, battling demons on a crocodile.
Just, oh shit, okay, well maybe give him a couple kicks and he'll jump back to the next spot. Who knows?
I mean, that's the most orc thing to happen. So yes. What would you ride, and why is it a crotolid?
Yeah, fuck.
Whoa, please be orcs.
I want to throw that question to Mark and Gerald as well. What would you guys ride? I know, Mark, you're probably leaning more towards the Crotalids, right?
Yeah, the Crotalids is classic, but maybe I got to think of something else, you know. There's so many great creatures. I've seen plenty of Tyranid conversions of like them riding Carnifexes and like all chained up, and I've always loved that kind of concept. We just did an episode yesterday on the Swarm Lord and the Hive Mind, and just talking about how the Tyranids revert back to like this bestial state. So yeah, if you separate them from the Hive Mind, you might just be able to tame one of those things and like break its animalistic instinct.
Well, it's a good thing you said that because my answer would have been, if not Crotolid, then definitely a winged hive tyrant.
What about the Hiredent?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that big one that you were talking about. That would be gnarly.
Yeah, and then the Drakon that we learned about a handful of episodes ago, another classic thing to ride.
Reverse Bumblebee.
Be super cool.
I remembered, so one of my favorite creatures that we did on the Bestiarian Herbarium, besides the Crotolid, I forget what it was called, but I'll describe it. Basically, it had like a ball-like body, and then it had 4 legs that were like spikes, essentially. And it almost looked like a spider, but it ended in spikes. And the cool thing about this beast, it was like a very stalker hunter beast. And it had the ability to manipulate gravity waves, I think. I might be getting exact science wrong, but basically it would jump up and then manipulate the weight of its body and slam down on the enemy with these like pincers. But since it could manipulate warp gravity waves or whatever the fuck, its weight amplifies by 1,000 times and just crushes everything. That'd be a fun thing for an orc to ride, for sure. Just jumping around the battlefield, crushing everything.
The drawback is, as soon as it crushes something, it also kills the rider because of momentum.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have a new orc riding it every single time.
Every jump's a new guy. Yeah. But the craters it leaves behind, worth it.
It's like Kriegsman and Earthshaker cannons, basically. You just jump on a shit ton of orcs as you work your way up the battlefield.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Any other thoughts? So you bought yourself some of these guys? Did you? You said you ordered them online, or you're gonna?
No. I just went into my local hobby shop and picked up some other models. I had the box in my hand, and I'm like, oh fuck, I don't need it right now, but
Maze as well. So
no, I do. So
well, I know you're super active in the Discord, but to anyone listening in, we've got a work in progress and a finished projects tab. So, like Grimaldus, as you're working on these guys, if you end up picking them up, make sure you throw up some pictures, because that's the 2 sections I love to hang out and see.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I've been working on 2 Stompas right now, or one. The one's waiting for a whitewash, but
very cool.
Yeah, in the midst of doing some orky stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, make sure you throw those up. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
awesome.
Closing thoughts there, War Boss Grimaldus?
Keep it up, man. If you guys do another orc episode, I think accents is a must. And you were all a little bit curious as to first, second, third. Honestly, you guys passed that finish line at the same time. I was fucking floored by it. You guys nailed it.
Yeah, I got that. Well, I didn't get it, but James got that. James complained when we did the Octarius episode that orcs don't want to hear about timelines, and they want to hear about smashing and riding squiggly beasts.
No fancy armors here.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for the call, and we'll
awesome.
Jump to the next guy. Let's jump to Purge, I suppose. Hey, Purge, welcome.
I don't mind my cat meowing in the background.
You sure it's a cat, or could it be a cat squig?
A squiggly cat.
It's a fluffy squig.
You said squiggly cat he is.
So let's ask you that question. What do you think of the Beast Snaggas? Was it a fun addition? Are we happy with this new kind of subculture that's developing?
I think it's actually really cool because it goes to a more primordial state for the orcs. Just having the beasts and riding around on beasts, and then you can throw the technological aspect. Oh, my beast lost its arm. Okay, I'm going to put a chain gun on it now.
As it's tradition.
So yeah, I think they're a really great addition.
Yeah. If you had an animal in 40K that you would want to tame, you're an orc war boss, what would you try to tame?
Something out of the warp, honestly. As hard as it would be, riding around on some warp creature, just doubling down on chaos. Not only are you just a chaos or chaotic creature by nature, now you're riding on this chaos beast on top of it.
Yeah. And it's spitting fire out and it'd be fun. Even when the battle's over, there's a potential that more demons are just going to flow in and create battle. Second battle? What about second battle?
We haven't even had first battle yet.
And a space Leviathan, instead of a space Hulk, I could just see a whole orc colony just riding on this giant space creature, like houses built on the back of it. Like I said, no pressure suits, no helmets. Like they're like, oh yeah, the warp, it's just like any other planet that we're on. So they're just sitting there hanging out, using their like psychic powers to build bonfires and stuff, even though it shouldn't even work in space. You just see this giant space leviathan with this like Orc City and like campfires lit up and all this stuff.
We Orks are real good at holding our breath, like, and they're all just walking around holding their breath.
Yeah.
I'm too big and too mean to all believe in oxygen.
Yeah, pretty much.
Of course, there's oxygen in space.
But man, what a setting. That would be super cool. Just this giant creature in space, and you got a whole colony of orcs just living on it. Very cool.
It seems so wholesome.
They jump off it just to land on a planet. Like, it's their version of like orbital drop troops, but instead it's just orcs jumping off this leviathan creature.
And splatting because lots of them don't have any way to stop their fall, so they just fucking like pepper the planet with orc bodies.
Or squids. They just throw a bunch of squids underneath them. Like, here we go. This is meant to, save our impact. And you just see all these squids like blowing up on the ground as these orcs are dropping in.
Awesome. I'm going to take that riding the Carnifex one step further, and they're going to be riding one of the giant Tyranid bioforms that travel through space. And when the umbilical drops down, it just spews out orcs out of its umbilical.
Yeah, there you go.
Or the orcs ride down that umbilical cord like a bunch of commando units.
Oh, yeah.
All dressed in purple, so that way they're sneaky when they get planet side.
Hey, where's your squad mate? I don't know. I can't see him. Where'd they go? There's no orcs.
Oh man. Yeah, good stuff. Any other thoughts there, Purge, or
everyone should check out the listener lore, because then you can hear about Marcus's Primaris chapter.
Yeah, all about the crowdlets, the Astrocrota.
Yeah.
I have some in the studio now. Safe from all my cats jumping on them, which is good.
But yeah, that would be my final thought.
Cool. Well, thanks for calling in.
Yep. Have a good night, boys.
Alrighty. We got probably time for one more. Let's do this one. Hey, Nemo Forever, welcome back. Welcome.
Mic check.
Yep, we can hear you just fine.
I'm sorry for your loss. You can hear me.
Yep.
I was curious if you were going to come in your typical talking fashion that kind of lulls me into a false sense of security, or if you would jump in with some orc speak. What do you got for me?
I gotta say, hats off to you, gentlemen. You started the damn podcast with the fantastic orc voices. Those are that's a braver mind than mine. I would never start a podcast because those accents are genuinely hard. They're not easy. They're hard in the voice.
Yeah, give us a couple Patreon bucks for that effort, because I can tell all of us are raspy now.
Oh, hell, you already got mine. And to be honest, being raspy makes you guys sound better.
You want to buy some death sticks? Yeah. No, okay. Makes me sound more sophisticated.
You want to go home and rethink your lives.
You don't want to buy me death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink the Mechanicus.
You'd rather go home and rethink your life. You don't want to sell me death sticks. You'd rather go home and praise the Al-Messiah.
So, what's your thoughts, Nemo Forever? Do you like the Beast Snaggas being an addition to the orcs?
I got a conspiracy theory on the orcs. I think that orcs are closer to raw humanity than the space furries.
Go on.
So, when you go and you have the idea of just a bunch of guys jumping out of their longships, having the best time of their lives butchering people, a lot of people don't realize those people are high on magic mushrooms. And what are orcs but giant mushrooms? Where space wolves are closer to the anal retentive nature of robot girly man than the actual ancient Norse shrooms boys.
Yeah, okay. Shrooms all the way down. That's only how you could come up with such awesome names and creations that the mech boys do, is being high on mushrooms.
Oh, yeah.
It's not because they're high on mushrooms, they are the mushrooms.
Yes, of course.
Well, any other time, I'd prefer a rather academic approach to the lore, but it's a Orcs episode, so that means that if you have logic, it goes out the window with the horse you rode in on.
Yeah. Alright. Yeah, no, it's cool. Like I've been very happy with some of the stuff that GW has kind of come out with it, and there's other things that have not been so good, but this has definitely fallen into the good category. I really hope that they come up with more orc subcultures like the speed freaks or the beast snaggas, and maybe I'll just scroll up through my notes. There's a part that we didn't get around to reading. Some of my notes I wrote out in like our normal format, and I'm like, fuck that, let's summarize it in Orcish. But I'm just gonna jump back up to some other types of like subcults that exist. Freebooters, spacefaring pirates made up of outcasts and renegades, the cult of speed, maniacs addicted to speed and mayhem, feral orcs, savage primitives cut off from orc society, beast snaggas, we know about them, sneaky gits, masters of stealth and backstabbing. No one's ever seen one of them before though. Boom boys, mad bombers obsessed with blowing things up. Pyromaniacs, that's a classic one. Pyromaniacs, man, who doesn't like starting fires and then worshiping the fire as well? That's a key part of being a pyromaniac, both burning down your house and then worshiping the ashes.
A bunch of orcs walking around with a giant magnifying lens, and they're trying to focus the beam to start a fire.
Bunch of orcs looking at the magnifying glass, trying to figure out what came first, not the chicken or the egg, but the gork or mork aspect of the magnifying glass, the violent intent to pick the damn thing up, and then the cunning intent to know how to point it.
Dude, takes 2 brains to figure that one out. We also got big crumpas, close combat fiends armed with deadly melee weapons, and truck boys who just are obsessed with their fucking trucks, and they're like adding all the stickers and chrome rims and all that kind of good
Painting
stuff.
it red.
Painting it red.
Reds go fastest.
Yeah. I think I would love to see more subcultures like this. There has to be some that are just obsessed with flying or swimming. We've talked about like underwater warfare and stuff. There has to be some orcs that just like getting wet. Splish splash, now we're taking a bath.
Rub-a-dub-dub, 3 orcs in a tub.
And then the 3 orcs become a gargant, and then you got a problem.
Oh man. Classic. Final question for you, Nemo. What would you want to ride if you're an orc in the 40k universe?
Damn. If you know your RPG references, you might appreciate this one. How many orcs can you fit in a trench coat? I want to ride that.
You want to ride another orc, but only if
I don't
that
wanna-
orc is wearing a coat.
I don't want to ride one orc in a coat. I want to ride all the orcs in a coat. Because then you can take the orcs out of the coat and you can use the orcs themselves as a projectile weapon, which in my opinion is the highest form of the modern Merv. I mean, if you throw a bomb, it only detonates once. But if you throw an orc, well, you have a chaotic form of logic without ever touching the warp upon impact. And who knows how many orcs are under that coat? I gotta say, it's gotta be at least... No, I already said gargant. What's the largest form factor of orc I can fit in a coat? Yes. How many orcosauruses can you fit in a coat? That's
Depends
a
on how hard you believe.
Well, the red ones go faster.
Oh man, classic. All right, well, closing thoughts here, Nemo forever. Where do you go from here ultimately?
Well, I guess you could fit an extra set of orcs in your coat if at least one of the orcs actually turns out to be an orc rock.
Yes. Oh man.
That's all I got.
Cool. Well, thanks for calling in.
Fantastic evening.
So I want to leave you guys with this mental image, all right? This is a pleasure for you guys. I want you to imagine Nick Gretchen riding on the back of a Humie with a saddle and a set of reins, giving him horsey back rides around the medical depot with the rest of the orcs.
Ride, I'm human. Yeah, that's a great picture.
The human's only allowed to respond in neighs, or else he gets the crop.
You stupid Huey.
So wholesome. So wholesome.
Oh man.
Yeah. Cool. Well, fantastic episode, everyone. Thanks for listening in. We are wrapping it up. Don't forget to support the Patreon and all that. But you can, before you go check that out, go check out Lorehammer Listener Lore. We release a bunch of Lorehammer homebrew stories and stuff. Sometimes they're short stories, like written in a narrative form. Some people write them as like a Lexicanum style article. It's really cool how different people find different ways to present their lore. Like, somebody's written poems before for their Sisters of Battle, and that's how they've decided to like tell the tale of their Sisters of Battle through actual poems. So very cool how everyone does their own homebrew. So go check out Lorehammer Listener Lore.
And then whenever you're done learning about Warhammer 40k, come on over to its fantasy cousin, Warhammer Fantasy, hosted by the Grimlore podcast, such as myself and my co-host Ray Way. So we're always enjoying having people come over to the tavern to sit, have a drink, talk about orcs and crumpin and some other fantastical stuff. So give us a listen whenever you're done.
And I do nothing so special, but if you ever want to talk about the painting side of the hobby, that's kind of my bread and butter. You can follow me on Instagram at Black Fox Miniatures. It's black.fox.miniatures. Hop on there, follow me. We can talk about 40k or even hop into the Lorehammer Discord. Pretty active on there. I'm always happy to talk to the community out there.
Yeah, I love the community. Lots of people, man. It's so funny. We all just want to just get together and talk about whatever we're working on. That's what makes it happy. That's what makes us little boys happy, and I like that for us. All right. Well, don't forget to support the Patreon. Go to Lorehammer Patreon for $2.50 a month. You get a lot of content. You get it for free too, but also like if everyone just gave $2.50, man, could we get up to 5 episodes a week? Hard to say. I've been talking about 40k for 20 years. I'm still not bored of it yet. So yeah, we're just about to start up some like Primarch, Founding Legion stuff too. So tons of great content coming. Don't forget to support the show. But we do have a couple new Patreon members. Thank you so much to Michael, and thank you so much to Sing. We really do appreciate it. Every couple days we get a couple more people. So thanks for joining the tithe. Well, I think there's only one real way to end this episode, and it's all we ended on a wog.
Whoa!